Hello. In this video we're going to have a look at switch statements. Switch statements are logically equivalent to an if. It's just a different format. It's a little bit more succinct. Sometimes they are beneficial. Sometimes they're more trouble than they're worth. So I just want to show you where we're going with this. So I've created this form. You make a selection like USA, and it says something like hello or France, and it says something like bonjour, right? Something like that. So that is being implemented currently with this if block right here. So I'm getting this thing called country, and if that thing is equal to USA, I say hello. If it's France, right? And you can see how this thing works. And if you somehow entered something else, it would say what. So I want to take this and I want to transition it into a switch statement. That's the appropriate way to teach you about switch statements. It's just a shorthand, somewhat alternate syntax for an if. So if I wanted to, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to block comment this out, just so it literally doesn't work anymore, right? When you comment something out, it's like it's not there, but I'm going to leave it there for reference sake. So if I want to write a switch statement, the first word I'm going to write is switch, and then in parentheses I'm going to write the name of the variable that I'm looking at. Well, the name of the variable I'm looking at is called country. And then from here, I'm going to open up a big curly brace, close a big curly brace, and then I'm going to go start looking at all my cases. Actually, this isn't entirely accurate because see how this thing's wrapped in a big old if? So I actually need to bring that over if I want this to function without any huge warnings. I apologize for that. I always hate band-aiding something after the fact, but basically I took a if. I see that if right there, which wraps that whole thing. I put that inside of it. All right, so let's look at the switch syntax now. So the first thing I want to do is I want to see if country is equal to USA. So I'd say, so the keyword is case, and then I'm just going to say what I'm looking for. If I want that to be USA, then I'm going to, in quotes, write USA, kind of like I did up here in the corresponding if. Now, one of the weird parts of this, if you want to call it weird, and I wouldn't hesitate to do so, is it's a colon. You don't use a lot of colons. And then so colon, and I'm going to say echo hello, like that. Now, I could make a mistake, I could not make a mistake. One thing you need to understand is that you do, so you notice there's not like curly braces wrapping up what happens here, so I do have to write break. Break prevents it from falling into the other cases below it. If you don't put a break in your case, then all the cases are going to end up being true, and it's going to do a bunch of output. So that's the end of that case. So the other case I'm looking for is FRA, and that's going to be another colon, and I will echo out bonjour, and another break statement, and then the last case I'm looking for is max, and so another colon, and another echo, and another break. Now the last part of this equation is the else, right? This what thing. And the last thing that I need to do here is take care of that else. So in PHP, the else is called default. That's going to be a colon, and then whatever's going to happen here. So that's going to be echo what. And that is the end of this the switch statement. Notice it's not really a lot shorter. So I've got a parenthesis or a quote problem right there. Notice this isn't a whole lot shorter than that. It's just a different syntax. There are times when this does pay off, and there are other times when this is probably not worth your time. It's certainly not as intuitive to look at. One of the things that I like about if statements is if I just handed this chunk of code to somebody and they didn't know the first thing about programming, I bet they could take a pretty good guess about what's happening there. Whereas if you handed a switch statement to someone, I don't know that they'd necessarily be able to figure out what was happening there. Another reason I personally don't like switch statements a lot is that I program in many different languages pretty regularly, and the syntax between one switch statement and another is oftentimes a little bit different. But this is a valuable tool. You should at least know about it. Whether you use them or not, you should know what they are and how to put them together. Let me prove to you that this works, so I'll save it. Same form, and right, it was kind of stuck on France, and so it still said what it said. If I go USA, you can see I get the hello. If I do something weird like that, it's going to say what. And so you can see that it works just like the other one. It doesn't function any differently. Pay attention to the breaks, the colons. There's some kind of odd syntax that happens in here, but that is the recipe for a switch statement. Thanks for watching.